Hello and welcome to EnglishEverest.com IELTS writing lesson for task 2. This is another in a series of lessons that we'll be doing looking at different task 2 questions. In this lesson we will cover sentences, vocabulary and everything you need to write an essay capable of scoring a band 7. We will identify the topic, identify the task, plan the essay, and look at the structure. So today's question. In many countries, very few young people read newspapers or follow the news on TV. What do you think are the causes of this? What solutions can you suggest? So, okay, rather than guess or go through the what is it, I've just highlighted it because it's very obvious. Cause and solution. It's a causes and solutions essay. Sometimes they are very similar, the three: problems and solutions, reasons and solutions, causes and solutions. Similar, obviously, to cause and effect. Those four types of essays are very similar. So the first thing to do is decide what the topic is. Write down your keywords. Many countries, young people, no TV, no newspapers, read. Doesn't have to be in that order. You could say many countries, young people read, no newspapers, no TV. As long as it makes those words make sense to you and you can identify the topic from them. That's the most important thing. So the topic is that most young people in many countries do not follow the news on TV or read newspapers. It's a long topic. The topic can be one word, can be several words. So the task is, as we can see here, causes, solutions. Identify the causes, and suggest some solutions. So we have to think of some causes of this and suggest possible solutions. This essay is asking you to talk about causes as to why this is happening and to suggest some solutions. This structure that I've written here is from a previous video, so I've decided not to change it. First thing, you decide your position. If it's a do you agree, disagree, how much do you agree, disagree, which the last video was, the first thing you have to do is decide your position. But here, there is no position because you're not asked to take a position. So I've written, there is no position. All you've got to do now is brainstorm. Decide on some ideas for both causes and solutions. Again, your structure will be, for those of you who've watched previous videos, the structure for your notes should take this form. Write the notes, topic sentence, supporting sentence, example, and summary. Again, summary is optional, but I advise it. So let's go on and plan and create our essay. So, ideas, causes. I've written 4 causes. The news does not relate to young people. Mainstream news we're talking about. There are other sources to get news from. If you're talking about TV, then TV means you have to sit at home or sit somewhere to watch it. And if you're talking about newspapers, newspapers are kind of old-fashioned and bulky to carry around. Young people don't do that. They have their devices, which will be highlighted later. Solutions. Provide news more relevant to them. That should say news. Move away from newspapers and TV to social media. So again, these notes I'm writing are for myself. So what I mean here is the people who provide the mainstream news should move away from newspapers. Newspapers are becoming more obsolete as time goes by. They're becoming more obsolete. So eventually, I believe we will see the disappearance of paper newspapers. And TV is going a similar way because people are watching things online and in different places. Netflix, cable, there's lots of different forms of receiving not only news but other information. So we need to, broadcasters need to move away from these platforms to other areas. So that's my second argument. So I've got 4 for the first one, 2 for the second one. That's enough for now because remember, you only have a few minutes to think of ideas. So this is why at the beginning I suggest that you read a lot of articles, watch a lot of things about different topics, get your ideas, build up your ideas. Okay, so choosing and developing those ideas. I've chosen there are other sources of news. People have more choice of mediums. Mediums means the way that you receive or send something. Young people do not sit at home watching TV or reading newspapers. They don't. Most young people have a cell phone or a tablet. So it's talking about the other sources of news. And for the solutions, move news to social media. Mainstream news should be moved. I've mentioned this before. Because these companies need to keep up with their audiences. If they don't, they will lose them. And more mainstream companies are recognizing this fact. So, again, we'll go through the same steps that we did last time, getting our title and putting it into chunks. So, in many countries, here we have some paraphrases. In many nations, a large proportion of lands. Lands is another word for countries like states. These things are actually synonyms, so you can use them. In a large percentage of countries, in many nations. So the many, large percentage, doesn't tell us how many, so you can use these, a large proportion, a large percentage. Fine. Young people do not. The younger generation are or are not. The youth tend not to or tend to, depending on what your sentence structure is. There is a trend for young people to not do this or to do this. So it depends on what's coming after that, but we will see. So if we go back, we can say the younger generation are not readers or followers of mainstream news, either in newspapers or on TV. The younger generation are less inclined to watch TV or read the newspapers to obtain news. Or young people do not keep up to date with current affairs via the tabloid press or TV. So again, practice those sentences. So what are the causes of this? That's a question, but we have to put it into our essay. There are a multitude of reasons for this trend. Many reasons exist for this. Causes of this are many. Fortunately, there are possible resolutions or solutions to this issue. Solutions do exist and can be implemented. There are a number of ways for this to be solved. And then this will be followed by your thesis statement, what the essay will do. So this statement tells the reader what the basis of the essay will be, what the contents will be, what your ideas are. So you can't write your thesis statement until you have your ideas. Again, we use the 3 elements here: title, opinion, thesis statement. Because this is not an opinion essay, as you can see, there's no opinion. We have our title, which, oh, I didn't notice that. I'll have to change that. That should say trend, but fortunately there are. I'll have to change that. So there's our title. there's no opinion, and then we use our thesis statement. This essay will highlight the many options young people have as one cause and the moving of news to social media as a possible solution. So it's telling me these are the things that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about options that young people have as a cause and moving news to social media as a solution. So the reader knows what my paragraphs are going to cover. You don't have to give the detail in here, just tell them what the paragraphs are going to cover. Okay, so part one, paragraph one, sorry. Now, color coded, I've written the color codes in this time. Topic sentence, supporting example summary. To begin with, one of the causes of this is that young people have many choices when it comes to receiving news. There's my topic sentence. Very clear, very to the point. Not complex, just tells the reader what this is going to be about. That's the most important thing. This is mainly due to advancements in technology which has made it possible to supply news from multiple sources. This means that they, students, do not have to sit in front of a TV or read a newspaper to obtain the same information. It can be delivered to portable devices such as phones and tablets. Several examples are the growth of multiple online media outlets such as Yahoo and BuzzFeed. So basically, people are getting their news from these companies, and there are many of them out there. This is just an example of two. There are probably maybe 100 or more. I'm not sure, but I know there are a lot of them. And so we have our summary statement. Thus, it can be seen that traditional methods of news delivery have been surpassed, and youths have alternatives. I'll have to change that because they is not very clear. That's something I overlooked. This is what you should be doing when you write your essay and you're checking it. You may find mistakes. I wrote this earlier, I found a mistake. So this means that young people, so I have to put some kind of synonym in there for young people because they doesn't actually tell me who I'm talking about. And this is one thing you should avoid. So I'm teaching myself a lesson here also. So this means that young people do not have to. Okay, moving on. By contrast, the mainstream media moving onto these platforms is one possible solution. So we've talked about this, so we know we're talking about different platforms, phones, tablets, Yahoo, BuzzFeed. So what we can say is, by contrast, mainstream media should move these things onto these platforms. This is a possible solution. Broadcasters have to follow their audiences, and they, the companies, can no longer rely on traditional methods to deliver news to the next generations. This is if they want to keep pace with their readers and viewers. So I've given a reason why companies need to do this. And then my example, for instance, networks like CNN, BBC, and others have increasingly broadcast over the internet and on social media and have improved ratings. Thus, this shows that it is inevitable that this move had to happen, or the young audiences would be lost. Again, there are many ways to write these essays. This is how I've written it. If I wrote this again, I could probably use different examples, different sentences. But remember, your essay is time-based. You don't have time to think of everything perfectly. You just simply don't have the time. So do what you can and do what is best at the time. Just make sure you follow the structure. Following the structure is paramount. Now, conclusion. So here, we're not restating our opinion in this color, so it's not there. And I've made a footnote. To sum up, people under 30 no longer follow events through TV or printed media. This has been caused by them having more choices to receive news. So that's a paraphrase of my title. For companies to attract back younger audiences, they need to move the platforms used by young people. Okay, so I've put a cause and I've put my solution in there. This essay doesn't require an opinion or a summary. It's answering questions. You could put a summary sentence in there if you want to say, for example, talk about the future. I believe that this trend is set to continue. That's your opinion, but it's just a kind of a signing off sentence. So the final version of the essay is on the following page. There are many ways to write these essays, but the most important factors are, and this is the structure that you will see regularly. Again, here is the essay. It's 311 words. It's a little bit over, but it shouldn't really affect your score. They say that you should write 250 plus 30. That's becoming less and less important. So finally, the structure of the essays is one of the most important aspects due to the cohesion and coherence issue, which is, as I mentioned before, one of the biggest problems for most people writing these essays. The examiner should be able to follow the essay and each point should flow into the next point. Topic sentences should be clear and short, never make them complex. Supporting information examples should back up the topic sentence. This is the place where you can write complex sentences when you're developing your ideas. Always provide examples. They do not have to be researched or real-life examples, just a demonstration of an example. Try to write a summary sentence which should link back to the topic sentence. And follow the guide, which we just looked at for the conclusion. Okay, thank you very much. Watch the video again, stop it, practice the sentences, look at the structures, and mainly practice. Write as many sentences as you can. Write as many ideas as you can. Practice, practice, practice. You only get better at something if you practice. Please subscribe to the channel if you like the videos. And also, if you would like some lessons, please book with us at EnglishEverest.com. We have an online booking system where you can book, and if you book, you will receive a 15 to 20-minute trial class, so you can assess us, and we can also assess your level. Thank you very much for your time.